For me, carp fishing is more than just a hobby. It's a passion, a release, a way of escaping the hustle and stresses of everyday life and losing myself in my own little world. It's something I can completely satisfy myself with, whilst on the other hand constantly strive to be better at. It's a never-ending journey of highs and lows, accompanied by friends and family along a path that I choose to set. It takes me all over the country to some truly stunning places. And during my time angling, I've learned that size is irrelevant, and as long as the fish you catch put a smile on your face, the time and effort you've put in to catch your quarry has been worth it. I think it's time I started to share these journeys with you and give you an insight into my world and why I do it. I guess you could call it a diary. Something to look back on. A review of my time spent on the bank in video format. Welcome to the Review Journal.
Is it right that it's your touch that I need to get along? So give me life. I close my eyes and let you lead me till I'm gone. Till I'm gone. And I said, all the life I was high for the good times, I was high for the bad times. Tell my baby that I'll be better, I'll be better. There's light on the edge of the dark side, both close on the fast life. Tell my baby that I'll be better, I'll be better. To heal my broken bones. When you call, it's like a melody that feels like I'm back home. I'm back home. And I said,
So the time had finally arrived for myself and the big man to embark on our 2019 French adventure. After all the anticipation, planning and prep, the waiting was over and we set off in the early hours of Saturday morning. A quick pit stop at the local supermarket to replenish supplies was the first order of the day. Having been awake at this point for close to 48 hours due to a family emergency on a Friday morning, there was no way I was making the 380-mile journey without some Red Bull and Haribo. We soon hit the road and started heading for Dover with the crossing booked at 3 a.m. We opted for the train as it's a lot quicker than the ferry, and before we knew it we was touching down on French soil and started eating up the miles to our chosen destination. After the success of our last Euro trip to France, we felt it was only fitting to return to Gigantica Main Lake for another go. The closer we got, the higher the temps rose, with France suffering a freak heat wave the week before, with temperatures into the 40s, and knowing the fish had only spawned a couple of weeks prior to our arrival, the task ahead suddenly began to seem all that more challenging. After the dreaded 3.5 hour drive down the toll roads, we hit the small farm towns of St Christophe and arrived at the gate just before midday. James, the head bailiff, invited us in, offering us a cold beer whilst we waited for the rest of our week's fishing party to arrive. The main lodge at the main lake is situated at the stock pond end of the complex, housing the eating area as well as the freezers and fridges. While sat in the shade as the temps soared above 32, it's hard not to find yourself staring in awe at the walls, which are plastered with photos of the amazing stock the lake has to offer. Eventually the rest of the lads turned up and it was time for the walk round. James takes you into every swim on the main lake and gives you a heads up on the week's prior action, as well as pointing out the main areas you should be aiming for whilst fishing the swim. It didn't take long to spot fish cruising in the margins, basking in the heat of the midday sun. Although a few handfuls of fish were tearing up the bottom, obviously on last week's spots, the majority really didn't seem to want to know. Having seen what we'd thought was a large number of fish between Big Southerly and the Stink, it wasn't until we started to walk the tree line that we quickly realised a huge pod of carp. When I say huge, I'm talking at least 50 to 60 fish literally sat under the surface sunbathing. They didn't even look like they wanted a bread bomb, let alone 80 kilo scopex squid. At this point, all the plans and preppers started to seem pointless, and the week ahead began to seem more than just a typical Gigantica Main Lake uphill battle. With huge numbers of fish statically lethargic and the temps increasing, myself and the big man could not help but seem slightly deflated as we arrived back at the lodge for the draw. After seeing what I had seen, I had Coe's Point down as my first choice, simply because it commanded a lot of the centre water as well as being bang in the middle of the two large pods of carp we'd spotted on the walk route. With Alcatraz as my second and Scotties and Treeline as my backups, it was time to draw. Everyone that takes part in a gentleman's draw whilst on a holiday venue in France knows that the entire week's fishing hangs in the balance as you reach into that hat for the ball. On my last trip I pulled the number 3 ball and got my second choice swim. This time round I'd gone one better and pulled the number 2 ball. With a slight grin on my face, I looked at Brad, who wasn't looking too happy. I'd convinced myself that whoever had the number 1 ball was going in either the Stink, Big Southerly or the Tree Line due to the masses of fish we'd seen on the walk route. Before I knew it, number 1 was called, and no sooner had I looked at the board, he'd wrote his name in Coe's. Without time to think, my number was called and I'd froze. My mind completely blank, I stared at the board and unbeknown to myself and I think the entire party, I wrote my name on the beach. Don't ask me what my train of thought was here, because I honestly cannot tell you. The big man had drawn the same number as last year, and with the 12th pick of swim he settled for Scotty's corner. After the usual banter we set about getting round to the swims and started to set up. With the heat in excess of 34 degrees this took forever, and before I knew it the sun was starting to set. Having spent so long setting the house up for the week and getting the kit ready, I chose to fish the same spots Brad had fished on our last trip here. Dispatching 2 rods at 21 wraps straight out in front and 1 short at 15 on the spot James had advised did a couple of fish the week prior. Knowing Bob's Beach is one of the deepest and flattest swims on the lake, I had no worries leading around and simply wrapped up, dispatched the rods and baited heavily with a 10 kilo mix of 15 and 18 mil scopex squid flake, hemp and maize and a generous amount of the spod syrup. The rig choice for the first night was a 15 mil matching scopex squid pop-up fished on a Ronnie rig. I woke up Sunday morning to static rods, and again the temperatures began to rise. Another day of mid-30s was ahead, and after patrolling my right-hand margin I'd seen at least 20 fish tucked up under the overhanging trees. One of the new rules on Gigantica is you're only allowed to fish 1 rod on a zig. Knowing my margin was at least 14 foot deep, I opted to bring one of the far rods in and stuck a zig out down to my right. Keeping the baiting plan simple, I stuck the same mix out again at 3 PM, and redid the rods before the night drew to a close. With the temps barely dropping to 18 degrees of a night, and seeing absolutely nothing in the evenings, this was not looking promising. Monday morning I was awoke at 4 AM to a huge thunderstorm which certainly stirred a few fish up down the other end. Good morning, welcome to Gigantica. I think it's about time I gave you a little update. So we got here Saturday morning, and to be honest with you, it looked bleak. Temperatures through the roof, 32, 33s, fish all over the surface, not interested at all. And to be honest with you, that's been the tale of the story at the minute. The temperature hasn't really shifted much. It's been through the roof through the days, and overnight 18, 19s, 20s. Last night was the first night it dropped to about 18 degrees. We had a thunderstorm this morning, and it's actually thrown up 3 fish this morning as well. Ryan nicked one on the first night as well in Alcatraz, but that was the only fish. So yeah, as it stands, there's been 4 fish out. Let's talk about the draw, shall we? So on the walk round, it was pretty obvious there was 60, maybe 50, 60 fish on the top in tree line, and a good number of them between Big Southerly and the Stink. Banging the margins. Wasn't interested, but that was where the majority of the fish were held. And obviously on the walk round, I had in my head where I wanted to be, and I kind of settled on Coes. Obviously one of the hottest pegs on the lake, but got round, did the draw, and pulled out the number 2 ball, which is one better than last time I was here. Now I thought I had it in the bag. And at this point I'm thinking, do you know what, whoever comes out first, they're going tree line or Stink. There's too many fish there, I've got this, I'm set. And it all happened well too quick, to be honest with you. Matey come out, jumped in Coes, and then my number was called and I had to pick a swim, and my mind just went blank. I froze looking at the board and didn't really know what to do, had no backup plan, completely and utterly fluffed it. So now I would have, well, any other time I would have jumped straight in Alcatraz and not thought nothing of it, but for whatever reason I jumped in the beach. I think my reasoning behind it was there was a lot of fish in tree line, I could fish a bit of open water, and if they pushed out the corner they would push onto me. And I had it in the back of my head that the Immaculate loves the beach. That £80 common comes out of here, or Baxter's, and very rarely comes out from anywhere else. So yeah, I put my name on the beach, and not really the standard for coming out second, but yeah, we're in here and we're going to make the most of it. So got in the swim, put a bit of bait out, found the spots, 21 wraps, nice and comfy, wind pushing into my face, so it was semi-manageable with the heat. And yeah, from there really I've just sort of stuck to baiting around about 3 o'clock. And what I clocked last time I was here was everyone baits after dinner, they reel in, they wrap up, they go to dinner, they come back and they bait. Now what I clocked very early on my last trip here was that was okay, but the fish didn't like the spot. So matey would start spomming opposite me, they would stop showing on him and move to the next guy. The next guy would start spomming and move off of him. So I clocked very early on that I needed to get the bait out before dinner, around about midday when it was really hot. So then when everyone was spomming after dinner, it pushed the fish towards me, and I ended up having 5 takes landing 2. So again, I've done the same thing here straight away from the off. I'm baiting before dinner and going to dinner, coming back, putting my rods out and sitting on them. But as of yet, not a lot's really happened. To be honest with you, the shows on the first night was minimal. Second night, probably 1 or 2. Again, a couple in the morning, but not a great deal. To be honest, the fish are so lazy and lethargic. They're in the margins, they're under the surface, they're literally cruising under the rod tips. They just don't want to know. But like I say, as the temperature's gone down, they started to get on the feed this morning, and there's been 3 fish out, so it's looking good. So yeah, we're on Monday. I changed again this morning, made a big change. I was fishing 2 Ronnie rigs with matching Scopex squid pop-ups. This morning I brought them in, got the D rigs out, and basically went for the cultured hook baits with a 12mm citrus pop-up to top them on Snowman. And then 2 have gone out on the spots this morning with another 20 spoms. So that's where we're at the minute. Temperatures really good today, and I'm confident going into tonight that maybe something will happen. The bit of rain might have sorted them up and stirred them out, and with the temperatures being fairly normal for France now, hopefully they start getting on a munch all around the lake, because they only spawned 3 weeks ago, so they should be hungry. Got plenty of bait, plenty's going in on the spots. Can just stick to it, stick to the spots, not move. It's easy to lose your head in France, I think, but we've got a lot of time. We're here till Saturday, so it's only Monday, 5 more days. So yeah, that's what we're doing at the minute, that's where we're at. This is the first update. Do you know what, the last 2 days I haven't even wanted to pick the camera up and move, let alone do any filming or anything like that. But hopefully this is the start of the week. Temperatures are semi-normal, and yeah, we'll go from there really. But I think I'm gonna sit on the rods at the minute, just sort of watch the water today and see what's happening with activity wise, and then obviously stick to the same plan, 3-4 o'clock midday, get the bait out on the spots, get it nice and ready, wrap the rods up, go to dinner, come back, put them out. I'm going to stick with the D-rigs tonight. I've also got a zig down on my right hand margin, which I keep changing. Originally I was told about 10 foot on that, but I've had the deeper out this morning and it's about 12 foot, 11 and a half. So I've gone to an 11 foot zig just to see if I can pick one off during the day. There's a lot of fish under the tree, but it's a bit of an iffy cast. I'm having to get in the water at the front of the peg and sort of under a tree and get it down the margin. But yeah, we're managing it at the minute. So yeah, that's where we're at, and hopefully they switch on soon, because other than all I'm doing is going home with a nice tan at the minute, and that's not what we come out here for. But yeah, I'll catch up with you in a bit, hopefully with a banger. Here we go. Well, time for an update. It's currently Wednesday, around about 3 o'clock, and it's not going to plan. It's been really hot and they've just not been having it. Has been a few fish out down the other end of the lake, and when I say the other end of the lake, I mean 24 acres that way. So yeah, like I say, Wednesday, 3 o'clock. It's looking good. The wind swung. It was meant to have swung Monday onto a northeasterly, which sort of is into us. But it's done it today, and it's brought the fish with it slowly. We're seeing more and more shows, more and more activity. Today has been the best day for shows, really. Other than that, not seen a great deal at all. Don't know if you can see behind me, but my baiting plan is completely and utterly ruined. No one's spomming after dinner. They're all spomming with me at 3 o'clock, and it's kind of killing it for me, because that was kind of my little backup joker, if you like. Whereas everyone else would spom and push the fish to me after dinner, and I'd already have it done. They're all doing it with me. But yeah, it's what it is. Better than working it, I suppose. But yeah, I'm done. My spomming's done. I put 20 spoms on each rod, and I am currently getting ready to go for a shower just before dinner. So yeah, I'm going to reel in, re-wrap the rods. Now fishing all 3 on a deck as well, which is different to Monday, I think. I think I had a zig out. I've currently got one at 21, one at 25, and one at 15. So all the 3 money spots covered that I've been told in the swim. Baits on the spots, and the other extra that I've added in today is a little bit of oil into the mix, so I can see if they're coming over the spot. Because I haven't been able to see if I've been cleaned out, so I don't know if there's 5 days of a bait down now, or they've been coming in cleaning me out and I just need to make a rig change. So that's where we're at the minute. It's nice though, isn't it? Look at that. But yeah, that's where we're at. So yeah, I'm going to get ready, go and have a shower, have my dinner, and then I'll come back, put the rods out for the night. And fingers crossed this wind actually does something. But yeah, stay tuned, catch you soon. With the wind finally heading in our direction going into Wednesday night, it was the first time on the entire trip I'd felt even slightly confident. It's so easy to lose your head on a long session, start chopping and changing spots, and before you know it you've got bait all over the gaff. Having stuck to the same baiting plan and spot since arrival, Thursday morning I was awoke to a single beat. Hearing the line ping out the clip, that was enough for me to investigate. With no movement on the rod or line, and nothing else happening, I decided to hit the rod. R3s don't lie. As soon as I picked up the scope, it arched over and the battle commenced. Long, slow, heavy lunges all the way into the bank was followed by some savage under the rod tip action. The fish stripping line as quick as I was gaining it. I eventually slipped the net under what very quickly became a huge common. Well, persistence paid off. Constantly baiting the spot every night. And this morning, just before first light, got my reward. Just nudging the 50-pound barrier. Gigantica Common. Scopex squid, cultured bottom bait, tipped with a 15mm citrus. And I've got my reward. I'm gonna hurry up, get some shots with James. He's fairly hot, so I want to get back quickly. And yeah, we'll go again, see if we can nick one before we leave. Oh. That's it, man. Jadley. Yeah, she's good. Beautiful. All right, mate. Good boy. Well, guys, I thought I'd take 5 minutes and I'll run you through the rig that I'm using for the session. Bait wise, I've got a 15mm citrus pop up and a 15mm cultured scopex squid hook bait. They're mounted onto the D-rig with the double length bait screws. I've got a size 2 Fang X, a kicker just to neaten it up coming off the eye of the hook, 25 pound fluoro link, probably about 7 inches, a tungsten kicker to kick it away from the lead, and a figure of 8 loop on the quick link. So nice and simple, not complicating things. The only change I've made is probably lengthening it a little bit more, depending on how soft or hard the bottom is. But yeah, this is the exact one from this morning. And yeah, that's basically it, snowman styly. I've been fishing over a lot of bait, 15s and 18mm, scopex squid boilies, some flake, syrup, maize and hemp. Been putting a lot out as well, probably 5-6 key on each spot every night, and it's taken this long, but they finally got onto us. And yeah, we nailed a fish. I think it was called Solid, I think James said to me. Last out August at 46, so the 50 pound is putting on a weight. And yeah, I'm well pleased. That's a new PB for me as well, French common PB. So yeah, happy days. I'll catch up with you later. Well guys, unfortunately my time at Gigantica is coming to an end. There's a few urgent matters I need to be attending to at home. And you know what, I can't afford to be sitting at a lake in France, lapping up this lovely sunshine while it's going on. So I'm going to bunk a lift back with James, the bay lift tonight. He's going back to Essex, so I'm going to bunk in with him. Not all is lost, Big Brad's jumping behind me. He's going to see the rest of the session out till Saturday, and I'm praying that he has one. He's worked his socks off this week, literally. And yeah, I think he deserves one. So he's now behind me in the beach with a couple of nights ahead of him. Big Fish Thursday round the corner. And yeah, I'm really hoping it goes off for him and he at least gets a PB. But yeah, a little recap on the session. It's been hard graft this week. Temperature's played a massive part in the fish's behaviour. And I think the other thing as well, they've been following the wind chronic this week, and at the start of the week it was minimal, and when it did pick up it went down to the other end of the lake, which meant Stock Pond, Pole Position, Alcatraz, they caught the first few fish of the week. There's still 8 anglers that haven't caught, so by all means it's not fishing prolifically, but yeah, I'm happy with what's happened. I'm happy with what I've done. Caught a cheeky little town. I've had a nice holiday with the boys, and obviously banking a PB French Common as well was cherry on the top. But I think it's time for me to go now, and so I'm going to help Brad get set up, have a beer with him, chill out, and then I'll be heading off tonight. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed the review journal. Stay tuned for the next one because it's going to be an absolute banger. But for now, my time in France is over. I need to get back to the missus, and yeah, I'll catch you on the next one.